The Mixed Mornings and More podcast with Steph and Sean.
Now available daily.
Good morning, world.
Good morning. Happy Wednesday. It is April. It's the 6th. And look at that. Took 3 days, but we're on time. It's 5:30, baby.
Woo! Wednesday felt like a good day to start taking vitamins.
Okay.
I'm not sure what it was, but I was just like, today's the day. I'm going to remember. I'm going to take my vitamins. So on my way out the door this morning, I took one. Then I read the back that said take with food. And I was like, I don't usually eat until like 11 or 12.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then I thought the last time I took vitamins without food was about 10 years ago. And I literally threw up.
Oh, my God.
So I was like, what am I going to do? I'm driving here and I looked over at the snack that I bought on the way home from the grocery store yesterday, which was chocolate covered pretzels.
Okay.
And so I'm like, I've already eaten dessert this morning.
That's what you had for your food?
Yeah, well, that's all I had. I was driving here. It was like, here we are. We're on the air now.
Why wouldn't you take advantage of it and get like, oh, well, I guess I got to get like 7 McGriddles. Darn.
Oh, man, I didn't even think about that. I was just like, Sean's going to be like, you're late. Not that you've ever said that, but what if you started today and it was like...
I started, yeah. Hey, what vitamins are you taking?
Oh, it's called like One A Day Women's.
All right.
So exciting. I'm so old and lame. So we're at a friend's house last night and they had an epic nerd room.
Oh, yes. Yes. What's in this nerd room? Bring it on.
Okay. They had their board games like beautifully displayed. There were spaces between each and they were backlit.
Okay. And are these playable board games or are these like kind of collector's items?
They let us play them.
Wow.
Yeah. Then they also had like a full-on setup with like, I don't know, some sort of Grand Theft Auto or something game with like a driver's pedal and stuff
What?
like that. Yeah, like racing seat.
Damn.
Pretty cool. Then like the entire room was kind of like lit up in blue.
Oh, so they had the
And-
LED lights everywhere?
Something.
Yeah.
But then they were like, oh, let me help you see better. And they opened up their phone and all of a sudden the light slowly dimmed to a nicer tone.
Wow.
And then they had another section over that was like another computer setup with all
Yep.
these crazy things. And I was like, this is nuts. Like,
You scroll by these on social media. You never see them in person.
yeah,
Maybe this is the person I'm scrolling by.
it might be. But all the other dudes were like, oh my gosh, like this is so cool. You should offer nerd room tours.
Oh, do like tutorials on YouTube. Get those views up.
Yeah.
Get paid.
And then another dude said, I'm still making mine. And another one said, oh man, mine's like in full construction mode. I'm in the middle of building a 7,000 piece Lego to put in my nerd room. And I was like, nerd. Like, absolutely. That is exactly what you have to call it. Nerd.
That's the straw that broke your back. You just had to bring out the nerd.
Nerd.
I believe in the summertime, just of this past year, there was the Alberta government came out and they basically said pigs were running wild and it's a problem.
Yeah, that they're like eating everything in sight and they also eat like little animals and things like that. So they're just like menace to society.
Yeah, they're wild boars, if you want to go back to what they were calling them. And they came up with like a program and they hired like, I think like conservation officers, like more of them to try and get under control. Well, now they're asking for basically the help of the public, Steph.
Okay.
There was another article that just, or I guess a press release from the government that came out yesterday that said $75 per set of wild boar ears is what they're going to be paying hunters out there. And the program began just the other day and it runs all the way until next year.
This sounds like the olden days. $75 per set of ears. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so every person that's just waving their fist and be like, today ain't what it used to be, or whatever, you know, who shoots like a bow and arrow. Now's your time. You could be cashing in. You get a pack of wild boars. You could be set for the month.
I think boars, though, are kind of dangerous. Like, I think it's hard to hunt them.
Yeah,
Because
but
they're mean and they'll eat you. Like, they're
Yeah.
like, what? A moving item? Let's make sure it doesn't move anymore.
This is why you got to get one of those fancy side-by-sides and then just like have like a team. This is what I'm picturing in my
Okay.
head, at least. Side by side, and then you on the back of it, you got like 2 or 3 people with like bow and arrows, and then you just all like you're all undercover.
I love that you're all about the bow and arrow this morning.
How else do you hunt a boar?
I think you do it with a gun, Sean.
Oh no, bow and arrow.
Really? Okay. All right. I don't think anybody wants to take you out on their side by side with a bow and arrow, but
I'm a one-man team then. One man.
Went to a friend's house for dinner last night, and they asked for people to bring sides or appetizers. And I was feeling a bit at a loss for what to bring, and so I just kind of looked up delicious dips on Pinterest.
Okay, good old, like the pot roast kind of thing. Did they advise you to bring like a certain thing, like a salad or dip or bread or anything? Or was it just like you decide?
Yeah, you decide if you want to bring something, and we'll have chicken wings.
That always makes it harder.
Yeah, and especially like, I don't know, my brain was just not in it yesterday, and so I was like, Pinterest will help me. And there was this delicious looking dip there. It had like some cheese and green onions on top, and it had bacon in the recipe, and I was like, this is
everyone loves all 3 of those things.
Yeah, and especially because I had all of the ingredients in my fridge and cupboard that I was like, score, score, score. You check all the boxes, I'm making you. Well, when I arrived, they said, oh, what's this called? And I was like, oh yeah, it's called warm crack.
Okay.
Which apparently I think is to try and say that the dish is like addictingly delicious.
Yeah.
It's like warm crack. But
Pinterest, good at providing recipes, not great at naming them.
The person I handed it to heard me say warm crap.
Oh, gee.
And then I proceeded to say, yeah, I mean, it must be just like addictingly good. And he was like, okay.
I don't need to know what you and your husband are into.
Gross. It was delicious, but I'm definitely going to come up with a new name. I think like almost like loaded baked potato. Like it was just bacon and cheese and green cheese. Sounds
so much better and more simple.
It's Wednesday, which means it's SPCA Pet of the Week Day.
Yay! Love this week so much, and I love this day. Now, we've had dogs for the past 3 weeks, but cat lovers, this is your day. We got a wonderful cat. We have Misty in here as well, as always. Thank you so much, Misty. What's the cat that we have?
So this is Dumble. He's not ready for adoption, but he's up and coming. So he's a 7-month-old domestic short hair, quite handsome with his ginger coat. He's the sweetest. He's a little bit scared at first, but once he's in your arms, he's all about loving you and cuddling you. But he does come with a little bit of a sad story. So it's also important that we talk about this. So he did come with some frostbite to his ears, unfortunately.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so the past winter is pretty rough. We've seen at least 5 cats come in with frostbite affecting their ears, their tails.
Wow.
It's just been their paws even. It's just been a really sad winter for them. So it's also important that we talk about if you do see a stray cat out in the cold, just please call the pulse line. And our lovely AC officers will come out, rescue them, and bring them somewhere warm. So
yeah.
And what happens when they get frostbite? Do they have to have surgery?
Sometimes it falls off on its own. Sometimes we do. When they do go for their neuters or spays, we will assist with that, depending on the severity, of course. Wow. But yeah, no, it was kind of a surprise. We were all looking at him before our staff meeting on Monday, and I was asking our health team, I was like, do you guys think this might fall off? And they're like, it could, like, you know. And then we came back at the end of it and it was off, and we were like, oh.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no. Sometimes it feels great, but we've seen a lot of severe cases this year, so it's just always winter isn't quite over. I always call this like the 5th wave of winter, but just please note the pulse line number is 780-743-7000. So if you do see something out there, just please give them a call and keep those kitties safe.
Yeah, we're on Facebook Live right now. You can see Dumble right there. What does the SPCA all have going on?
So on the 24th of April, we are having our 11th annual Walk to End Animal Abuse. So we'll have more details following. It's going to be a lovely walk in Thickwood, but we'll have more details posted.
Okay. Misty, thanks so much for always bringing us these cute little furry friends to play with and get them showcased so that they can go to a furry friend's home forever.
Sure. Go hairy humans or what?
A friend of mine moved in with his wife's grandma.
Fun. Said no one ever.
Right? So about a year ago, they bought her house on the condition that she got to stay living in the house with them.
Okay.
Yeah, so it sounds like a good agreement until you realize, like, wait a second, this lady's lived here for 60 years and she has a lot of stuff and she has a way of doing things.
I'm guessing they got a discount on the house.
Yeah, and it's in the Muskokas in Ontario, so, like, life
prime.
is pretty great.
In 20 years.
Yes, exactly. And this grandma just grinds my friend's gears because he's not used to her and he's not used to, like, he's in his late 30s, not used to living with a grandma.
Yep.
She has these sayings that just kind of irk him a little bit. So every day he makes dinner and they sit down to dinner, and before anybody takes a bite, she always says, "Sure doesn't taste like tomato juice." It's like, okay.
I mean, I kind of love it. I hate it and I love it.
You might hate it if you heard it every day.
Yeah, that's true.
And then he said that, like, just randomly, she'll say, "Hang it up, Loretta."
What does it even mean?
Exactly. And he said, but she's kind of started using it as like if you're like stuttering on a story or you've got too many details and she wants you to get to the point, she'll be like, "Hang it up, Loretta."
Is that like the older school version of like today, Junior?
Maybe. But he said when he's in a good mood and he is trying to, like, get over it, he's come up with some ideas for random things he could say back to her.
Oh, I love the pittiness here. Come up with your own sayings.
So he just walks around the house and he says, "Do it again, Donna."
I love the alliteration. The alliteration is key here. Do it again, Donna.
But it has no, like, same like "hang it up, Loretta." It has no purpose. Just do it again, Donna. He also made up, "that breaks my clog." He'd just be like, "Oh, that breaks my clog."
Flick a light switch. Oh, that breaks my clog.
Exactly. And so it has been brainstorming some ideas to try and make this a little bit better for himself.
I love the back and forth here, 'cause I'm sure it's only going to get better. The relationship.
Right? Yeah.
With these random sayings.
Subtle context? Oh, dear. Weird sayings people say that don't really fit the situation. For instance, my grandpa. Every time he walks into a bathroom, every single time, he looks at himself in the mirror and he says, "What are you doing in here?" And then you kind of like look over like, what's going on? And then he says, "I told you last time to get out." Then he shuts the door and does his business, and it's like, what's happening? Who is he talking to? My grandma's always like, himself.
Yeah.
Just leave it. It's fine. It's been 20 years he's been doing this for. It's his own inside joke with himself.
That's right. 780-791-1037. Do you have any of those sayings that kind of live on? That you're just like, where does that even come from? What does it even mean? That sounds just like the classic, like, dad joke that you continue on well into your older years.
Yeah, well after it's expired. Say my grandpa will say, "What's up?" And I'll be like, "Oh, not much."
Oh, no.
"What's up with you?" Like, and I expect him to say the sky, but instead he says, "Upsequitch," which I think is a town in
Pardon me?
northern Ontario. I'm not really sure. I've heard him say it so many times, but I've never looked it up. But it's just like, that's the routine, and that's what we do.
Oh, man. To counteract, sometimes you just got to stop giving a reaction and just stare at them like plain face and be like, this is what you get. You get no reaction
Tired
from me
of this
now.
joke. I'm
That's
tired.
right.
Want more of today's show?
Download the Mixed Mornings and More podcast.
Now available every weekday.